2018 BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer Review. The good points of BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer: premium badge appeal, high quality interior, four-wheel drive available. The bad points of BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer: lacks rivals flexibility, questionable looks, ride firmness. Filling one more niche to use ever-expanding range could be the BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer, the company's first 7-seater people carrier, and contains proven being surprisingly popular. While ultimately it lacks the outright flexibility and spaciousness of key rivals like the Citroën Gran C4 Picasso, Ford Gran Max and Volkswagen Touran, the 2 Series Gran Tourer has lots of attractive facets, apart from the allure on the BMW badge on its nose. BMW claims both the Series Gran Tourer came to exist because buyers of that traditional saloons and estates had no option but to take a look to other brands his or her family's expanded. It believes those demanding a much more premium feeling, sportier driving MPV will likely be tempted back to the BMW fold. Watch the BMW 2 Series Active Tourer review. Front-wheel drive in the most common. This is BMW's second model that's predominantly front-wheel drive, as a 7-seater version on the 5-seater 2 Series Active Tourer launched in 2014. More expensive 220D versions of the 2 Series Gran Tourer are simply available initially, a minimum of with xDrive, which sends capacity to the rear wheels. Eventually these underpinnings will quickly realize their way underneath the next generation 1 Series and X1 along with the replacements for that larger minis. By keeping the mechanical components largely at the start, far greater amount of interior space is liberated. Even though both the Series Gran Tourer is merely 214 mm longer and 53 mm taller as opposed to Active Tourer shares much of that frontal bodywork with, there's room for the next pair of small rear seats or longer to 1,820 liters of cargo space. Brand purists might be up in arms about the 2 front-wheel drive, the ones carrying credentials of the 2 main Series Gran Tourer. Even so, the fact is with this type of car it handles with impressive agility, otherwise the ride comforts of that direct competitors. BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer, petrol, diesel and PHEV. Efficiency may be the focus for almost all of powertrains offered inside the BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer, together with the cheapest running being the manual gearbox only 216D. Offering around 68.9 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions of 108 gkm. At a claimed 64.2 miles per gallon and emissions of 115 gkm, both manual and automatic versions with the 218D offer identical efficiency figures. Even the automatic-only, 4-wheel drive 220D xDrive hardly disgraces itself with claims of 57.6 miles per gallon and 129 gkm of CO2, despite completing the 062 miles per hour acceleration testing the swift 7.8 seconds. Petrol versus diesel, which BMW 2 Series is perfect for you? Those who have a tendency to travel shorter distances will probably find the petrol suit their requirements better. The 218i affords the lower running costs, with claims of 53.3 miles per gallon and 123 gkm for versions using the manual gearbox. Automatics are slightly inferior at 52.3 miles per gallon and 126 gkm, respectively. Topping the energy stakes may be the 189 bhp motor suited to the 220i, completing the 062 miles per hour sprint in 7.8 seconds for your automatic, 0.1 seconds slower to the manual. Running costs go on a bit of knock, together with the manual posting the more expensive figures on the range at 44.8 miles per gallon and 145 gkm. All 2 Series Gran Tourers include efficient dynamics features like stop-start, energy recuperation, and also a coasting function for your automatic gearboxes, which effectively disengages the engine and transmission to avoid wasting fuel. BMW's most practical model. There's no doubting the BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer's increased practicality over other models to put on the coveted blue and white badge. It can lose ground in comparison with others in this particular segment. Space inside middle row is generous, particularly using the seats slid rearwards, but unlike many MPVs, the seat is usually a bench rather than trio of human chairs. The middle seat position can also be significantly narrower than rivals' setups too. Neat touches abound from the third row with elasticated straps connected to the sides and keep kids' clutter neatly out on the way, even though the luggage cover stows in a very space within the floor behind the rearmost seats. Lowering and raising the back set of seats is not difficult too, with just a plastic lever to lightly pull, unlike the straps used by some rivals. BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer facelift for 2018. For 2018, the 2 Series Gran Tourer has become facelifted. It was an extremely light-touch makeover, with new lights and bumpers at the front end and rear, plus a few tweaks towards the interior. Job done. The LED headlights are already sharpened track of BMW's Corona Ring daytime running lights. They could be upgraded to adaptive LEDs. The regular models plus more aggressive M Sport receive bumpers that differentiate them further, and all sorts of models receive a full-width lower grille below the kidney grille, which continues to be enlarged for 2018. The instrument panel may be updated, and also the xDrive may be upgraded in line together with the rest from the BMW range. The verdict. You can count how many small 7-seater MPVs positioned on the fingers of one hand nowadays, but despite the fact that BMW has produced an attractive, good tow drive haul to the family man who's not looking for an SUV. The BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer is inexpensive, and then there are plenty of tempting finance options to select. It's accessible in sport, luxury and M Sport trims. Standouts are its nice steering and road manners, quality interior, and also a premium residuals, which ensures you keep monthly finance costs low. Watch on for full BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer review how family-friendly this sporty new people carrier is. With family-friendly practicality since its key focus, BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer performance is not a priority for your majority on the petrol and diesel engine range, but you find versions that include more speed for many who desire it. All engines feature the firm's efficient dynamics fuel-saving measures, including standardized stop-start. Diesels will prove popular. With its 3-cylinder 1.5-liter diesel engine, BMW claims the 216D could be the most efficient car with this segment, with claims of nearly 68.9 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions of 108 gkm. It's limited with a 6-speed manual transmission. Essentially precisely the same engine found inside latest generation of Minis. The 216D's motor creates a modest 114 bhp, with peak torque of 270 Nm, which is available from a low 1,750 revolutions per minute. This results in a 119 miles per hour top speed as well as a 062 miles per hour dash of 11.4 seconds. Choose the 4-cylinder, 2-liter diesel installed inside the 218D, and you may opt for an 8-speed automatic gearbox in place from the standard 6-speed manual. Producing 148 bhp and 330 Nm of torque, again from 1,750 revolutions per minute, performance is usefully increased -127 miles per hour top speed with the manual, 128 miles per hour with the automatic, both posting identical 0.62 miles per hour times during 9.5 seconds. Running costs aren't severely punished either, BMW claiming 64.2 miles per gallon and 115 GkM of CO2 in spite of transmission choice. Initially available just with xDrive four-wheel drive, front-wheel drive versions will likely be available in the end of 2015, could be the 220D, solely fitted while using 8-speed automatic. Power from the 2-liter diesel motor is up to 187 bhp, with 400 Nm of torque yet again on tap from 1,750 revolutions per minute. Top speed is recorded at 135 miles per hour, even though the sprint from 0.62 miles per hour is considerably brisker at 7.8 seconds. Despite this, the 220D xDrive is claimed to send back 57.6 miles per gallon with CO2 emissions of 129 GkM. Smooth petrols available. From launch, both the series Gran Tourers provided with a set of 2 petrol engines, using a third, the 216i, joining the lineup in late 2015. Using another engine shared with all, the mini hatch could be the 1.5-liter, 3-cylinder 218i, producing 134 bhp and 220 Nm from the remarkably low 1,250 revolutions per minute. Manual and automatic gearboxes can be found, both 6-speeders. Both transmissions post 0.62 miles per hour sprint times during the 9.8 seconds inside the 218i, even though manual's top speed is 1 mile per hour higher at 127 miles per hour. Running price is marginally lower for your manual version with claims of 53.3 miles per gallon, versus 52.3 miles per gallon for your automatic, with CO2 emissions of 123 GkM and 126 GkM respectively. Topping the performance stakes would be the 220i, powered by way of a 189 bhp 2-liter unit delivering 280 Nm, again from that low 1,250 revolutions per minute figure. Gearbox varies: a 6-speed manual or perhaps an 8-speed automatic. Push the first sort onto a premier speed of 139 miles per hour, the automatic 1 mile per hour slower. Sprints from 0.62 miles per hour are virtually identical too, the manual losing 0.1 seconds for the automatic's 7.8 second time. Choose the automatic for lower running costs too, with official claims of 47.9 miles per gallon and 138 GkM. When compared with the manual's 44.8 miles per gallon and 145 GkM claims. While the BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer doesn't handle together with the same penetration of involvement because firm sportier offerings, it can do set a brand new standard for compact 7-seater MPVs. Nothing else with this segment feels as rewarding to watch by using a series of challenging corners. Such may be the degree of finesse dialed in the handling arrangement, that a majority of drivers will be hard-pressed to note most Gran Tourers are front-wheel drive. You will have to press or carry on with gusto into bends to check out BMW gently push wide right into a predictable, safe understeer. It's a less pronounced phenomenon inside the four-wheel drive equipped 220D xDrive, with power being directed to your wheels in a way that cornering lines are even tighter. Whichever you select, there's a well-judged weight on the steering as well as a satisfying penetration of feedback to gauge the quantities of grip the leading wheels are receiving. Whether most 7-seater people carrier customers particularly desire a car they can throw confidently via a number of broad bends remains in sight. The trade-off is that it corners relatively flatly, preventing passengers from rolling right and left in their seats. Less positive will be the firm ride quality, noticeably less supple compared to Gran C4 Picasso specifically. While the seriousness of bumps isn't transmitted on the cabin, the ride is firm enough to mean passengers feel most with the ruts driven over. Opting for BMW's electronic dynamic damper control lessens the blows to your significant degree, but they're still more noticeable, giving the two main series Gran Tourer a ride quality that's more akin with a sporty hatchback than the usual family MPV. Buyers new to your mark, as around 2/3 turnout expected being, is going to be as impressed together with the BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer's interior quality, as individuals who watch drive one with the firm's cars. Identical for the Active Tourer's dash, the FACE follows a familiar BMW theme of high quality, well-damped switchgear and clear instrumentation, which has a central infotainment screen sat atop the center console. There's recently been a noticeable lift in quality with squeezable soft-touch plastics employed across many areas with the dashboard, along with a particularly impressive amount of build quality used throughout. Also as impressive because it's intuitive may be the latest generation of xDrive controller for many in the BMW's interior functions. While the cabin's overall quality marks the BMW out, the 2 Series Gran Tourer's thick window pillars do impinge on forward visibility. There are trademark MPV triangular windows between the top doors and windscreen, but they're smaller compared to Picasso's. With a family-friendly focus at the heart of the company's design, it's no real shock that BMW 2 Series comfort is one with the car's strengths. Sitting using a slightly higher plane than you would within the X1, entering and out of the 2 Series Gran Tourer is basic, and once you make it happen, the driver's seat possesses an excellent choice of adjustment, out of the box typical of BMWs. A fully adjustable tire ensures a cushy and commanding driving position will result. While the outer positions for the middle row bench are snug, the passenger occupying the narrower, firmer center position could have cause for complaint. At the same time, adults and taller teenagers relegated to row 3, lacking head and legroom, means they are best suited to preteens and petite adults. On the path, particularly over smooth asphalt, each series Gran Tourer is really a refined and quiet cruiser. The serenity only disturbed by wind noise, since the air rushes round the large windscreen pillars, or if your engines are worked harder at higher revs. While the 2 Series Gran Tourer corners excellently and relatively flatly, the trade-off is ride comfort is compromised as compared to more supple rivals including Citroën's Gran C4 Picasso. Even together with the adaptive suspension option doesn't completely negate the visible difference. From its spring 2015 launch, the BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer was for sale in 4 trim levels, say, Sport, Luxury and M Sport. Standard BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer equipment. Long gone are the days in the event the say trim level signified the very best levels of BMW special equipment, for on each Series Gran Tourer it represents the entry-level grade. Not that equates with a paucity of kit, for the say still is sold with Bluetooth connectivity with audio streaming, xDrive rotary controller for a number from the car's functions including sat-nav, a 6.5-inch infotainment screen, electronic parking brake, a front armrest, automatic lights and wipers, emergency city braking, rear parking sensors and dual-zone aircon. Move as much as the Sport and you'll also love 17-inch alloy wheels, sports front seats and much, with the exterior detailing picked out in the gloss black finish. Designed to appeal more to traditionalists would be the luxury specification, featuring lighter interior colors, wood trim fillets to the interior, some other design of 17-inch alloy wheels and leather upholstery. Topping the range would be the M Sport, complete while using requisite exterior M badging, a sports body kit and upgraded 18-inch alloy wheels with dark exterior trim. Inside, the sports seats are timed in leather, and then there's M-specific controls too. Optional BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer accessories. New BMWs might be upgraded, having a wide array of factory-fit options at additional cost, and the two main series Gran Tourer isn't exception to this particular rule. Letting light flood into your cabin may be the electrically opening panoramic sunroof, particularly employed to prevent the rearmost seats feel less claustrophobic. Ride and handling characteristics may be altered together with the dynamic damper control, an attribute we'd highly recommend, and variable sport steering, which can be less compelling with a car on this type. BMW's excellent head-up display system can be available, although unlike other models the spot that the graphics are projected into the windscreen. On both the series Gran Tourer they appear with a transparent panel on top on the instrument panel. The 2 Series Gran Tourer also comes pre-equipped with equipment which may be turned on using the connected drive system, meaning if your original owner doesn't specify the gear, future owners can. Choices include collision and pedestrian warning in conjunction while using emergency city braking, automatic main beam, lane departure warning along with a camera-based adaptive cruise control system. While it's to be crash-tested from the experts at Euro NCAP, we fully expect BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer safety for being ranked highly, scoring a 5-star rating. Complementing the strong safety cell is often a raft of all-round airbags, emergency city braking to reduce the impact of the accident within the first place, automatic lights and wipers, as well as ISOFIX child seat mounting points around the middle row bench. A further welcome addition may be the emergency call function that could automatically target the car's location and make contact with the emergency services, outlining the severity from the impact. Many in the remaining safety features, for instance camera-supported adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning and automatic main beam, are optional, though. However, because a number of these features are pre-installed inside the car and effectively need switching on through BMW's connected drive system, even in the event the first owner chooses not have them activated, subsequent owners can. Ranked from the company's other cars, BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer Practicality is first-rate, but when compared with others in this particular sector it's lacking some convenient touches. Chief among these will be the middle row bench seat, where many rivals offer 3 individual chairs for increased flexibility. While the 2 main series Gran Tourer's seat back is split 40 hours 20 minutes 40 seconds, the narrowness in the center position limits the BMW's effectiveness to be a 7-seater. It's not all bad news though, because it slides forwards and backwards to vary the legroom as well space ratio, higher storage areas beneath the seat, also as sizable door bins, plus picnic tables on leading seat backs, too. Although the rearmost row of seats were created primarily for children with the size of MPV, the restricted head and legroom essentially guarantees adults and taller teens won't fit within the back of each series Gran Tourer. Those that fit may benefit from elasticated straps around the sides to support various child-related detritus, as you move the seats are raised and lowered easily using a small, plastic lever. BMW doesn't quote a luggage space figure for the 2 main series Gran Tourer in 7-seater mode, nonetheless it doesn't look too dissimilar along with other cars in this particular class. For convenience the luggage cover stows neatly away within the boot floor. In 5-seater mode the BMW offers nearly 560 liters of space, which compares well to the Ford Gran Max's 475 liters, but lags behind the Citroën Grand C4 Picasso's 793-liter capacity. It's an identical story when all the spine seats are tumbled to develop a near-flat floor, with both the series Gran Tourer offering 1,820 liters beating the Ford 1,742 liters and not the colossal Citroën 2,181 liters.